Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the last Oxwide of 2020. At least I hope it's the last one. Who knows what next week will bring, but we'll carry on as if it is. I'm Matthew Traynor, Chief Executive of Oxleas, and it has been a year, I think, unlike no other, and one I suspect we'd all quite happily not have another one like it. But it's worth reflecting, taking this opportunity just to reflect on some of the things that we've achieved this year, and we'll be doing some of that in the course of today's broadcast. We'll be saying thank you to many of our staff who've played a fantastic role in supporting each other and supporting our population through the COVID pandemic so far. And I'm just going to start by saying a few things about what's going on in the system in South East London just now. Later on in the programme, we're going to hear from some of our fantastic volunteering services staff, also a bit from our partners at Charlton Athletic, and then from some of our senior leaders in the board and the executive team about their reflections on the great work you've all done this year so far. So what's happening right now? Well, lots is happening right now, and you can't turn on the television, I think, without hearing about what's going on with COVID and being reminded that, of course, we've got Brexit to look forward to in the next week or two as well. Right now, it's fair to say the situation in our acute hospitals is getting close to back to where it was earlier this year, around March and April. The numbers of people who are coming in with COVID infections or who are picking up COVID infections while they are in healthcare settings is growing. It's increasing at a steady rate, so not quite as rapidly as earlier in the year, but it is there, it's fairly inexorable. And we need to be ready as a community provider of physical and mental health services to be there to support people as and when they need to come out of the acute hospital, but also to look after those people that we care for year in, year out, who are very unwell at times and who need our support in amongst all these difficult circumstances we're facing with the pandemic. So I think just now we'd hoped very much that COVID would be there and it'd be done with, but it isn't there, and it's going to be something that stays with us, I suspect, right through till March, April, the point at which the weather will be getting better. We can see the same kind of benefit we see with seasonal illnesses that we saw in the summer this year. So there will be that sense as we come out of winter that things are improving in line with the weather. But also the great news about the vaccine rolling out. We have now had a number of our clinically vulnerable and shielded staff vaccinated, as well as the over 80s as well. And you might have picked up that there is a reserve list going around. The Trust will have information on the Ox about that, where you can put your name down. Because as our colleagues in primary care are out there trying to vaccinate their local populations, they are ending up with spare vaccine, and because it has a relatively short shelf life, what you'll then get is a text saying, if you're available this afternoon, can you get to this clinic today, and we'll see if we can get you vaccinated. It's not going to be widely available, but there will be small numbers of slots becoming available, and we'll make sure there's some information on the Ox about how you can get yourself registered for that. We're expecting that there's another vaccine about to be approved probably shortly after Christmas. So the one we've got is the Pfizer one that has to be stored at very cold temperatures. There's another one that's been developed in Oxford that should be approved shortly after Christmas. That's much more stable at higher temperatures, much more like the standard flu vaccination, and that'll be much easier for us to use in primary care and out in the community. And if that gets approved when we expect it to, you can expect to see much greater availability of vaccines over the course of January, February and March. And so I think we're off to a steady start. Great news that it's out there. And what we can see now is that there's a path through COVID as we work through the next few months where more and more of you will be getting the vaccination. The weather will be getting better, the pressure will be easing off, and we'll be able to start thinking about living with this pandemic, getting out of it into the summer, and then thinking about how we prepare ourselves for what we need to do into next year. So it's been a hard period. I think it's this second wave feels probably a bit tougher in some respects than the first, because we're having to do everything we normally do plus COVID on top of that. But I'm confident that we've got the right relationships in place, the right systems and arrangements in place to try to get through this in the best shape that we can. And I was just downstairs here at Pinewood chatting to the PPE team. They'll be out there over Christmas and the New Year bringing the supplies you need to protect yourself. We've now got the home testing kits. I'm doing it twice a week, the old swab up the nose to make sure that I'm not passing anything between our sites, and keep that big focus on hands, face, space, keeping yourself and your family safe. We do have this worrying news about the new strain apparently being more easy to spread than previous strains, and it'll be interesting to see the evidence come through that in due course. Best thing to do is pretend that's what's happening, whether or not we've got the hard evidence it's there, and just keep those same precautions going. Don't let your guard drop, because we know it's a nasty business. You don't want to get yourself infected, especially just as we've got the vaccine starting to roll out. So that's the main news on COVID. Our partners, Lewisham and Greenwich, Prue, Kings and others are all working with us to try and get our way through this. It's going to be a tough winter, but I think we know what to expect, and we will be doing our very best to make sure you've got the equipment and the resources and the information you need to keep yourselves and your families and your patients safe. So I think that's probably enough on COVID. We can't avoid talking about it because it's front and centre, but let's keep our focus on getting through this, and we know what we've got to do that now. So for the rest of today's broadcast, we've got a couple of things coming up. We've got a bit of festive entertainment. Although we've not been able to get together and do carols and choirs and the kind of things we like to do at this time of year, there have been a number of us who've been able to get outside and take advantage of some of the outside space we've got at Oxleas to get ourselves in the Christmas spirit, and we're now going to see a little bit of that. And then later on we're going to come back and have a bit of a discussion with our colleagues from volunteering services. But first up, we're going to go over to Sarah Hadley, our head of music therapy, Lisa McNeil and our Vox choir, and a couple of us who've been creating some merriment in amongst all the entertaining other things we've got going on at this time of year. So over to Vox and music therapy. I'm here in the back garden at Pinewood House in Bexley, and we're here with our fantastic music therapies team. Oxleas, of course, has the biggest music therapy service in the whole UK, something we're hugely proud of, and also our great Vox choir. And this afternoon, evening, or whenever you're watching, we're going to knock out a couple of Christmas numbers for you to send 2020 out in style. And I'm joined here in Pinewood today by Sarah Hadley, who's our head of music therapies. Hello, Sarah. And we spoke a couple of months ago about music therapies during COVID. How's the year ending for you and your team?
Well, my team have been as amazing as ever, Matthew. We went back to 97% face-to-face in September, and we have just gone on delivering the service, and yes, we're all pretty exhausted, but it's gone really well. The parents, the children and the schools and our other commissioning partners have been superb in enabling us to go into safe practice, so I couldn't have asked for more.
And today, of course, I mean, it seems obvious in hindsight, but we've got music therapies and we've got the Vox choir together, haven't we? And it's been lovely just to hear the sounds of the instrumentalists playing along with our singers, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean, this is so new to us, and it's a bit like such a union that it was made in heaven, and just getting together, it's just like something out of a film that is suddenly like, why didn't we do this before? But I hope we're going to do it a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I agreed, and maybe next year in front of a live audience. Let's keep our fingers
Absolutely.
crossed. Thank you, Sarah,
Thank
to you
you.
and to your team for everything this year.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
You. Okay, and I'm joined here by Lisa McNeil as well from our workforce team. Lisa, what's this year been like for you and your colleagues in workforce?
It's been very, very difficult in workforce, but especially more for our choir, as we haven't been able to sing together at all in person this year. It's all been done virtually, and it's been very, very hard, very tough.
And I joined you on Zoom the other night, and it's good fun, but it's not the same, is it?
It's really not the same. You just don't get that sense of camaraderie and the community that you do when you get to sing together in person. So it's such a delight to be able to do this today.
And joining music therapies has been great, hasn't it?
Amazing. They are so good. And to hear the live music is just incredible.
And we'll be looking forward to next year when we've been vaccinated and we're doing more to control the spread of COVID. And it's going to be fantastic to be able to get out in front of audiences again, isn't it?
It will. Can't wait.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, thanks for everything you've done for us this year. And thanks to all your colleagues in workforce too.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, star of wonder, star of light.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that, and there'll be another bit of music at the end of the show. And there's also been a couple of other tunes that I think been excellently edited by Steve Cooksley. They're available. Have a look at our Twitter feed, or we'll make sure you can see them on the Ox as well. And this time next year, hopefully we'll all be able to get together for some live music again. Now, I'm delighted to be joined now by Linda, Julie and by Mishek, who are going to talk to us a bit about the role our volunteering services have played this year. So I'll start with you, Linda. Linda, just tell us briefly a bit about volunteering services in Oxleas and what it does for the Trust.
Well, we've got 350 volunteers currently in the Trust, working across all different projects that Jacqueline Kerr runs, who's our manager. Julie and I run the mainstream volunteers, which we put all of our volunteers in areas in the Trust, such as award areas, helping on the ward. We run the 2 shops, Oxleas House Shop and Memorial Snack Shop. The volunteers do gardening, they do transport. The voluntary car drivers have done a huge job in delivering the PPE and the equipment out. And I know that you, Matthew, met a couple of them a while ago. They're still doing that now, actually. They're doing this, and we'll be continuing to do that over Christmas.
I know, Linda, that certainly they said to me they felt as though, this year that they've become something of a lifeline for some of the people that rely on our services, and it really came across how important they've been in the Trust this year.
Yeah, the volunteers, we're very proactive, very responsive to staff needs. Managers come to us for all different things. We've done furniture removals, we've assisted with adult patients being discharged from the wards at short notice, been able to ask the staff to donate things for them so they can go home. If it's a new flat, we've had white goods donated. We've organised removal vans. We've all mucked in and helped, and the volunteers have obviously been a big part of that as well. Julia's run a service of coordinating staff volunteers to help our patients, vulnerable patients in the community. Maybe Julie can have a quick word on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's been such a year where we've all had to change the way we do everything, Julie, and I know you've been actively involved in helping us make sure we get help to where it's needed. So tell us a bit about COVID and volunteering and what you've been up to.
So basically at the beginning of the lockdown originally, Jacqueline sent out an email to everybody and set up a database for staff that couldn't carry out their normal roles and that had time on their hands to do something else and help out. And then once that was set up, she handed that over to myself, so I managed that. We had a total of around 65 to 70 requests throughout the whole of the lockdown, which basically went from getting shopping for people, delivering that. So that would be either like a weekly thing or a fortnightly thing, depending on how often the patients needed it. And the same person would do that weekly for them. We also had medication deliveries for people that couldn't go and pick up their medication. So I was arranging that to be dropped off for them. And again, that was sort of like daily, weekly, whatever they needed really. And also just phone call support for people that were feeling quite vulnerable and isolated. So we had a lot of staff that were ringing people. Again, that could be a daily thing or a weekly thing, twice weekly, just depending on whatever the client felt they needed really. And obviously going back to the care coordinators if they felt that there was any problems. So the staff and obviously volunteers that couldn't work at the time were really, really great at that time and really, really helped out. And I was very, very appreciative of that.
And I think it's been a year where we've all realised how important contact is, social contact is. It's in Pinewood today, there's very few people around, which is entirely appropriate for Tier 4. But we're just talking to each other about, 12 months ago, you don't realise how much you just miss seeing people day to day. And I think that what the volunteers have done is, they've very selflessly said, look, we're available here to help. And they've created those real lifelines for people, both between our staff as well as with our patients. It must have been really rewarding work. I'd imagine quite hard at times as well, though, Julie.
It was a bit difficult, especially around sort of people that were feeling very isolated and very vulnerable. But, everybody sort of chipped in and was really, really helpful, and the patients were really grateful. I know a few of the staff members had thank you cards from the patients at the end of when they felt they were better and they could get out and do their own thing. So yeah, it was definitely well appreciated by everybody.
And of course, our volunteers don't just work in the community or supporting people at home. They also help out on our wards. And we're joined by Mishek, who's our ward manager for Scadbury Ward at Green Parks. Hello, Mishek. Great to see you again.
Hello. Nice to see you all. Yes, I can maybe chip in a bit and talk about some of the volunteers who've come on the ward. Very helpful, hands-on. They help with like serving lunch or, just spending time with the patient, speaking to a patient. It goes a long way. I mean, we've got nurses running around doing other chores, but if you've got volunteers coming onto the ward, all they do is escort patients on leave in the garden, help them, encourage them to eat. It has been wonderful. We had them up to February, then COVID came in, and that's kind of stopped. But it was very helpful. I mean, it's like every time we get volunteers coming in, I really appreciate it. It's good. They also look at things differently from us who work on the ward on daily basis. So that's quite helpful.
When last time I was on Scadbury, Misha, I remember you and I having this conversation about the time that you need to care for people when you're on the ward. And I saw an example there where there was a very anxious patient who came over to the nurses station, and you spent about half an hour talking to this person and helping them calm down. And we talked about the difficulty of balancing, on one hand, the clinical tasks that need to be done and the quite relentless sense of all these clinical tasks, but having that time to sit and just have that moment of peace and that moment of communication. And from what you're saying, volunteering's offering us more of that opportunity in the ward environment.
That would be very helpful. Yeah, that's a good example you've given there. Yeah.
Yes. So you'd be keen for us to see, maybe next year to explore more about what we can do to bring more volunteering resource within the trust and to make more of it. Alongside, we've got lived experience practitioners, very valuable part of the workforce. This is over and above that as well, isn't it?
It is. I've also been involved in interviewing some of them, so it's kind of an experience as well. Yeah.
We've also had volunteers on the ward doing exercise programs like yoga. We've had music therapy.
Yes.
Well, so that's been going really well down at Scadbury, Green Park.
Yeah, in fact, today I got a phone call from one of the guys that come to play the music for our patients, guitar and what have you. But due to the tier 4, he was gutted that he could, because he was really prepared to come and sing some of these Christmas songs and what have you. So we really miss that.
We've lost a lot of lovely stuff this year, haven't we? And I hope we'll never take it for granted again when we get it all back. So, but look, our volunteers on the whole, I mean, just to say thank you so much to Linda and to Julie for the work they're doing on behalf of the trust, and thanks to people like Mishak and others who've created the opportunity for us to recognise the great contribution volunteers can make. And there are people out there there's members of our staff who want to help, there's members of the public who want to help because of the contribution Oxleas has made to our life. So I'd urge people to have a look on the Ox and on our website and find out more about volunteering. And in the meantime, to wish Linda, Julie, Mishak and your family and your colleagues the very best for Christmas and the New Year. I hope you get a bit of a break, and we look forward to seeing what we can do to take volunteering from strength to strength in 2021. Thank you very much to the three of you.
Thank you. Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And now, talking of working in partnership with volunteers and with other people in the community who want to help us, one of our great friends and partners this year has been Charlton Athletic. And a few of us recently did a great fun quiz on a Friday night, which Charlton hosted for us, very entertaining. Sadly, I didn't win, but it's the taking part that counts. I keep telling myself that when I lose quizzes. But here we have a message of thanks from our friends and partners at Charlton Athletic Community Trust.
Thanks for letting me come. It's great because I'm normally sitting over in the West Stand there. It's great to see from the pitch side, see the changing rooms, seeing that. It's also nice going over in the away stand as well. So it's really nice to see it from a different viewpoint and just see them watching in the stands, and also talking about how things have changed during COVID with the players up there having different changing rooms. Yeah, it's been really nice. A lovely day as well. Lovely day for it on a historic day, December the 5th.
Your dedication and hard work has made a big difference.
That we recognise our heroes and heroines.
I want to say a massive thank you.
Some lovely messages there from our colleagues across the patch and from our friends at Charlton and others. And one last thing, of course, that we wanted to mention is, of course, it's Christmas next week. Linda, tell us a bit about volunteering services and what we're doing for some of our staff and patients.
Okay, well, this year we've been very lucky with some money that we've had in our trust funds to be able to buy presents for all of our inpatients on all three and in all the boroughs. We've actually made up or wrapped 231 presents and made up 40 food hampers. I think Jack's got some presents there that we put together. So we've made sure that all of our inpatients have actually got a present to open this year, being as they probably won't even have any visitors visiting them, which is very sad. But hopefully that will bring them some cheer on Christmas Day.
That is fantastic. I have to say, the idea of wrapping presents for 231 people really does make my heart sing. I'll be doing my wife's probably at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. I've got to go and get some wrapping paper from somewhere that's open this afternoon. But I think that's brilliant. It's exactly the right thing as well to use charitable funds for. And as you say, with no visitors this year, we need to bring as much Christmas cheer into the wards. And thanks so much to all of our staff who are going to be in on Christmas Day. You know, I know many of you do it year in, year out. We really are tremendously grateful. And here with some more messages of thanks are some of the members of the Oxleas board and executive team. Over to them.
Hello everyone. I just want to thank you all for what I think has been some just outstanding effort over this last year. The compassion, the professionalism, the hard work of all of our staff has been absolutely extraordinary, and a huge thank you to you all. But we know there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, the vaccine is being rolled out. Let's hope it gets out to you people on the front line as quickly as we possibly can, and then out to all Oxleas and NHS staff after that. You know, the days are getting longer. Things are going to get better. And I really hope we can all look forward to a little bit of a break over Christmas and a much, much better 2021. Thank you.
Hello everybody, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'd like to say a great big thank you to everybody. You've all been absolutely amazing and I'm looking forward to what the future brings for us. So, thank you. Merry Christmas.
As lead governor at Oxleas, I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to say a great big thank you to everybody at the Trust for everything you've done during this very difficult year. Every single person has gone over and above to make sure that all the patients have continued to receive the very highest quality care during this terribly difficult year. Clearly, Christmas is going to be very different this year, but I hope every single one of you manages to have as enjoyable time as possible, and we can all look forward to hopefully having a more normal year in 2021.
Hello, I'm Rachel Clare Evans, and I'm coming to the end of my very first year at Oxleas. It's not quite the year I was expecting it to be, but I've been blown away by the professionalism, the team spirit, the camaraderie, the dedication, but most of all, I think the warmth and the kindness demonstrated by staff right across Oxleas, day in, day out over the last year. So be very proud of everything that you've achieved in such difficult circumstances and have as happy and relaxing a time as you possibly can over the festive break. My thanks to you, each and every one of you, for all that you do, and have a very Merry Christmas and a happy 2021.
Hello everyone, 2020 has been an extraordinary year and I think we all agree it'll be good to see the back of it. I just wanted to thank you all for the enormous efforts that you've shown this year in keeping the services running. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done. For those of you that are going to have a break over Christmas and New Year, I really hope you have a restful time and next year can only get better. and I think the end is certainly in sight, hopefully with the arrival of the vaccine. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you all soon.
Hello everyone, it really gives me a great pleasure to be speaking to you at this festive period. I know it's been a challenging year, but I cannot thank you enough for all the effort, all the hard work, and all the good you've done this year. Can I say Merry Christmas to you all, and if you're taking a break over the next few days, do please let your head down, enjoy yourself, and even if you're not able to do that with your family, make the best of what you've got, so that when we return in the new year, we'll all be refreshed and prepared to have another go at this. Thank you again, and do have a Merry Christmas. Goodbye.
There we go, some lovely messages there, and I think a real sense coming through of the appreciation from all of us here at Oxleas for the work that you've all put in this year. I just want to finish today and for this year just by adding my own thanks to that. It has been at times, I think, probably some of the hardest days and weeks and months that we'll all have lived through so far as an organisation. You know, that sense that all of us were going through that, the initial experience of wave one, and then the sort of grinding reality that's followed through from that. It's been tough for all of us, and there's been some times this year where certainly I've felt very low, and sometimes it's been quite hard to find hope, but I'm delighted that we're ending the year in the shape we are, that we've got the vaccine on the horizon, and actually that as a group of people we've come together and supported each other through these toughest of times. I think it's times like this that you realise what's important to you, and what's important to you is to support your friends, your family and your colleagues at work, and realising what a difference it makes when you work with people who you feel that sense of mutual respect, and you feel that sense of us caring for each other and helping each other. There's been a lot of other things to think about this year, the work we've done around building a fairer Oxleas and understanding how important it is that all of us respect and value each other in the workplace. But I think we've made some huge progress with this, and I feel really privileged and proud to be part of the team. I think looking towards 2021, there's lots for us to get on with, but there's so much for us to be proud of in terms of the way we've weathered this storm, and we'll continue to weather it through to the brighter days of the spring ahead. And thank you very much for allowing me to be part of the team here, for allowing me to be your Chief Executive. And I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, a good rest, and I shall see you all in the new year. And now here to sing us out is the music therapist of Oxleas and Vox Choir. All the best, and I'll see you in 2021.
1, 2, 3. On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 goldrings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 6 geese a laying, 5 goldrings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 7 swans are swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 goldrings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me